bakers! A lot of you out there know that my favorite candy bar is a TWIX. So I was really excited when TWIX contacted me and asked me to create a big and bold recipe for you. So this week, to celebrate Halloween, I am making a no-bake TWIX pie that is sure to impress. So let's get started. This pie has a lot of things that I love. A shortbread cookie crust, a creamy caramel filling, and chocolate on top. What is not to love about those things? We're going to start out by making our cookie crust, and the easy way to do it is with some fun-sized TWIX. In a food processor, add in your TWIX. Pop on your lid, and then we're going to pulse it until all the TWIX break down. This is a great recipe around Halloween because you always have an abundance of candy in your house, and it's a great way to use it. You can always use regular sized TWIX or even peanut butter. And this is what your crust should look like, nice and soft. All the caramel and chocolate has all combined. Oh, this is going to make a great crust for our pie. For my pie, I'm using a 9-inch pie tin. You can also use a springform tin, and you can also go 8 inches as well. It doesn't really matter. Add your crust into your pie tin, and then with your hands, just spread it all the way around. You'll notice that it is sticky, but that's why we don't need any butter or anything. It's going to make a lovely caramel chocolatey crust. I'm going to pull my TWIX all the way up the sides so I have a nice rim on my pie. Once you've pushed your crust all around the tin, it should look something like this. Now, it does not get much easier. So we're going to pop this guy in the fridge, let it set up, and we're going to get started on our salted caramel filling. In a large bowl, add in your cream cheese and your vanilla extract. Then cream both of these really well together. Now, I'm going to use this electric hand mixer, but you can also whisk it by hand using a whisk, and it'll work really well. Lovely, it's nice and smooth. So to this, I'm going to add in my whipping cream. Once your cream is in there, we're going to whisk it up again until it's really nice and thick. You'll notice the mix starting to stiffen up a lot. The next thing I'm going to add in is my secret ingredient, my salted caramel sauce. I absolutely love this sauce, and I recommend you always have it in your fridge at all times for baking emergencies. And then just like before, we're going to mix the caramel sauce in too. Lovely, that's our pie filling. I'm going to give it a little taste. Oh, it's yummy. It's salty, it's caramelly, it's creamy. It's going to be really good in our pie crust. Our pie crust has been in the fridge and it's lovely and set. Now, before you put in your pie filling, you might want to just go around and make sure it's not stuck into your tin. So I just went around with my spatula and unstuck it. Because of the caramel, it can get kind of sticky. If you're not using a springform pan, you can always feel free to put some cling film in there and then put your crust on top because it'll be easier to get out. Pour in your filling until it's almost the top of your pie crust. Remember, leaving room for some chocolate on top. And then just spread it out with a spatula. A good little trick is also to give it a bang on your countertop so it all evens out itself. I'm going to put this guy back in the fridge and keep him nice and chilled. Our next step is to get started on our chocolate ganache for the top. Chocolate ganache is really simple to make. You just heat up some cream and then pour it over chopped chocolate. You let it sit for 2 to 3 minutes, let it melt, and then go in and whisk it all together until smooth. And that is it. Once you have your ganache, it can be used for lots of different things. For ice cream sundaes, for the top of this pie, even when it's set, can be used for chocolate truffles. It's a really great recipe to have. Once your ganache has cooled, we're going to pour it directly over the top of our pie. I use milk chocolate for my ganache, but feel free to use something a little bit darker if that's what you like. Because it's Halloween and I want to make this dessert extra festive, I'm going to take some melted white chocolate and I'm going to draw a spider web on top. Pipe some white chocolate in the center and then do a swirl all around the top of the pie. And then with a toothpick, I'm going to run it over the top very gently. You have to do this while the chocolate is still wet because that's how you get that lovely effect. If it sets, it's much harder to do. You know, this dessert is not just for Halloween, it can be eaten all year round. It'll be a great one for the holidays. So if you leave the spider web off, you can have it any time of the year. So we're going to pop this guy in the fridge for minimum 4 hours, preferably overnight. Let it firm up so it's ready to cut. Now that our pie is nice and firm and set, I'm going to cut myself a slice. When serving this pie, cut yourself a slice and pop it back in the fridge so it always stays nice and cold. Perfect, look at that. It looks fantastic, all those decadent layers. This is absolutely gorgeous. It's sweet, it's creamy, the lovely crust, the caramel sauce, the chocolate. This pie is definitely for people who like something extra indulgent, just like me. Be sure to share your TWIX pie photos with me on my social media. I would love to see them. Thank you so much for subscribing, and I'll see you back here every Thursday for more bigger, bolder baking.